one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good evening. Sorry to keep you waiting. I think we're not bad. A couple minutes.
Can I take my coat off? Is that okay with you?
Well, since you gotta take yours, I'm gonna take mine off there. How about that?
Okay, is there any public comment on agenda items? Anything on the agenda that someone would like to speak about? No? Okay, well, I have the minutes of our last meeting. Someone like to motion to accept?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
So carried, thank you. Communications, I went to a meeting early, actually this morning, not early this morning, late this morning, 11 o'clock. Orange and Rockland came down and set up a tabletop exercise for us with a storm that was coming, and how are we going to get ready for it? It was very nice that they had 5 people from Orange and Rockland sitting at the table, and it was done in the Village Hall. The mayor, 2 chief police, and DPW were there, and I got something out of it. It was a pretty good exercise, and it kind of made me think a lot with, we talked about communications, we talked about all the power being out. What do we do now? And to me, aside from wires falling down and a foot of snow and things like that, the communications is the thing. How do I tell somebody that we got a storm coming and you better get your batteries, you better get this done, and if you're on some sort of a oxygen producing thing, you got to get ready for that. Communications is really important, and that's what impressed me on this meeting. Chief, well, you were there. What else did you think about it?
That was my bit, well, because I lived through a storm event with power failure and had to experience not being able to get gas.
In all my years here, like 50-some years, I can only think of one storm where we were out of power for a few days. I remember getting dry ice in the parking lot next door to. But other than that, was there anything more that you can remember, Rich?
In the way of
Just that
long
one storm.
outages?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, back in the 60s and 70s, it was all the time, but we've improved since then. So,
Oh, okay.
so when I first got on the board is when that dry ice thing happened. We were out for like 3 days, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And again, there's you're talking on communications. We got dry ice. Now, how do we tell the people, come on down, get your dry ice? You know, and what do they have to do to come get it? To bring a cooler, or just what they had to do? Budget transfers. We transferred from sanitation salaries to sanitation billing stipends, $1,000 to cover unbudgeted stipend. Highway other expenses to highway clothing allowance, $765 for clothing allowance for a new employee. Ambulance salaries to ambulance vehicle maintenance, $5,000 to cover the cost of a new transmission in the ambulance, right. Sewer miscellaneous to sewer liability insurance, $1,000. Insurance was under budgeted. Water, other expenses to water personal services, $5,000 for additional time installing meters and endpoints. Insurance proceeds, police vehicle repairs, $4,000 to move revenue from insurance proceeds to cover the expense of repairing a police vehicle. Any questions on the budgets that we moved? And again, with the financial reports,
You want a motion on the,
Oh, somebody want to make a motion to accept the
Budget transfers?
budget transfers?
I read them, I heard you, and I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you, Justin. I transferred $85,959 from the consolidated account to the accounts payable to cover this week's check run. Some of the bigger items were there was a compact lifter for sanitation repairs, $4,947. KS Bank for the police car lease, $10,447. Orange and Rockland Utilities, $5,606. Rockland County Solid Waste Hauling, $14,164. Our accountant, RBT, for the audit ending on December 2022, $15,000. And the Office of the State Comptroller for fines and fees collected by our court, $6,612. Board liaison reports. Rich,
Okay.
Councilman Sullivan.
So starting, well, first of all, with the ZBA, if they do meet next month, it would be on the third Wednesday at 7 o'clock here. Our next meeting, I'll let people know. They did not meet this month. In the water, Kelly's going to help me a little bit. I'm happy to report that Kelly informed me that our recent audit revealed that Water District 1 did not lose any money in the last billing cycle. Is that correct?
Water District 2 did not lose.
Water District 2? Well, that's even better.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. Along with that good news, I am happy to report that under the leadership of Gary Boyce and Greg Marr, along with Ryan Falk, the meters that need to be replaced are being replaced correctly. They have a warranty on them that is satisfactory once and for all. They are moving along handsomely. A lot of this work is going on in Corbin Hill. The Homeowners Association has been contacted to let each and every resident know, because we're tagging doors and having trouble getting into some of these places. Some of these things may have to be done after hours because they have to be done. But we're moving along handsomely. Every time I look at Ion Water, the number of meters not reading is going down pretty rapidly once and for all. So that's great news, you know. And we've decided the radios are going away forever. They're being replaced by cellular once and for all. And thankfully, we have strong enough cellular signal to be able to do that in Fort Montgomery. So in the building report, I have a little bit extra to say tonight. In a moment, I'll read the report for April. I had a couple of people contact me with some great conversations. Mr. Malakot is one. Norman DeYoung here also contacted me. My pleasure to talk to both of them. Let me read the report off for the month of April. 18 permit applications were received. 13 permits were issued. There were 10 certificates of compliance. 0 certificates of occupancy were issued. 30 building permit inspections were done. 19 fire safety inspections. I want to remind everybody on the fire down in Spring Valley, the building inspector down there where that fireman burned to death got himself in deep trouble with the law. So we are doing fire inspections. I'm getting a lot of complaints that people don't want to have to pay for them. Some places get a fee, but they're being done, and they're pretty much up to date. 4 violation notices were issued. 2 violations closed out. 4 municipal searches were completed, and there were 8 FOIL requests. I want to read off some of the things that are going on out there, because I've had people tell me that they think the building department is overwhelmed and whatnot. We have a consultant. His name is Andrew. I can't remember his last name. Maybe somebody can help me on that. From Lincoln Tully. He's here regularly, and they are doing a lot of work. For example, shed over property line, violation sent on 4/7/2023. Reading within 30 days, remove your shed from the adjoining property line and maintain recommended 5 feet. Another one, constructed an addition without a building permit. By the way, these are in the Village of Highland Falls. Sent on 4/17/2023. Reading within 30 days, obtain a building permit. I'm not going to name the properties. I'm not done yet because I'm a little bit concerned about getting us into a lawsuit doing that. But it is public knowledge, and I'm just letting you know what kind of work is being done. Faulty equipment convection toaster. Violation sent 41823, reading immediately fix defective unit, causing fire department calls to the restaurant. I don't know what restaurant that was, but that's one of the violations. Violation for driveway in ill repair, creating a hazardous condition. Let me keep going on here. There's one for a hotel in town. Observed rotten wood on the exterior of the building. Action required within 30 days, replace and paint the rotten wood. That one, I believe, has been resolved. Another one here. Please be advised this department has become aware of possible code violations regarding trash around the property and longer than 30-day maximum stay at the subject property. The purpose of this notice is to inform the owner that the property of all requirements of the local code, New York State Fire Prevention and Building Code, and other applicable regulations. Conditions observed. I observed a property in need of further investigation granted under 122-73 of the Village Building Code. I'm not going to say the address. It appears you're using a motel contrary to its legal use. I observed trash containers from the main street without the proper screening. So I'm not going to go on all that except to say by my read, and I might be wrong, in the Village of Highland Falls, I don't know that we can force people to have a dumpster, but we can force them if it's along Main Street to have them screened in. What I just read off, that is in progress. So if people have 30 days to respond, I'm not going to have any answers on the status of anything tonight. That's Philip's job, and he will handle that. And as these things get done, I'll happy to let you know. So that's just a little bit of what's going on. We had a property last Friday that had running water in it for a period of time in an abandoned unit owned by a bank that was condemned. And I'm not going to say where that was at either, but it's sort of like a townhouse place where the buildings are attached. So they're out there doing their thing. For my sewer report today, Bob, I couldn't make it, was down at the sewer plant. Mr. Fung went down to the sewer plant from the DEC. You said everything went pretty well down there, Bob,
Yes, it
with
did,
him?
yes.
Okay.
It went very well.
So I think between the EPA and the DEC, we're all good except for people pumping their water in during heavy rainstorms. We got to resolve that one. And a little bit of numbers for you. Our plant is rated for 120,000 gallons a day. The average monthly flow for the month of April, which had 8 inches of rain, was 119,000 gallons a day, meaning we had 1,000 gallons of capacity available for that month. I know there was infiltration. I read these off frequently because at some point in time, we're going to have to do something about it. And I think that's it.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Very brief, few notes. The first one is, given the fact that during Asian American Pacific Islander month, I wasn't able to organize an event per se like we did for Hispanic Heritage in the fall of 2021 or Women's History this past March, or Black History in February. I wasn't able to do it, so what I want to do publicly is say that a person who sticks out in my mind as representative of the Asian heritage, coming from originally the country of Philippines, but then coming to the United States, and then making a name for herself, becoming a citizen right here in our hometown. Miss Arla Castanas. How do you pronounce the name, Barry J? Last name is James. The other name has a C in it, but she's one of our
She's a fireman.
firemen in the Highland Falls, and besides that, does a phenomenal job at the high school, volunteer work. So I just wanted to highlight her as the person of the month that represents those values in our own community. Secondly, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. Wasn't able to do an event for that, but I just wanted to put out a resource. So anyone concerned about mental health or substance abuse, just know that you're not alone. that there are resources here in the Hudson Valley community. 2 locations. One is Union Street Counseling Center, 1624 Union Street, Middletown, New York, 10940. The other is Kaplan Family Community Counseling Center, 21 to 23 Grand Street, Newburgh, New York. And then there's a virtual option, 24/7, by the way. 1-888-750-2266, option 2. So in light of the National Mental Health Awareness Month, just want to make sure that people have those resources available should they need them. And then lastly, I just say that reminder of the 2nd annual Community Family Fun Day, which is coming up on Saturday, June the 3rd, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Fickens Field, Highland Falls, New York. A lot of hard work to put this together by our young folks who are part of the United Youth, the Town of the Highlands United Youth Group. They came and presented themselves here before the board on several occasions, and then they went out and did the work. So please, if you're in the area, go out and support their efforts. Subject to anyone's questions, that's all I have for this evening.
Councilman Yeager?
Good evening, everybody, and folks at home. For the rec department, we have quite a few things to go over here. We hosted our community CPR class over the weekend with 12 local residents becoming certified in basic life support, which is awesome. The Ponytail and Little League, we're halfway through our season, and just scheduling some makeups due to the wet field conditions that we've had, but have since dried out, thankfully. Playoffs should start the week of June 5th, and we're looking to tie in our All-Star game for the 4th of July weekend festivities. Flag football registration remains open, looking to start the season at the end of June, and we were able to obtain a $1,500 grant from DUSA for equipment and uniforms. T-ball and coach pitch baseball games have started. They both go Saturday mornings, and coach pitch baseball also goes on Tuesday evenings. Summer recreation registration opened this past Saturday and will continue on Saturdays for the next month. Camp opens June 27th and goes through August 11th. The over 13 folks, that open gym continues to run Tuesdays and Thursdays 6 to 9 p.m. at the Highland Falls Intermediate School. We are seeing currently 30 plus kids / adults per night, which is really, really good showing of coming out to do their nice exercises and so forth and be in better shape. So that's great. Our partnership with Bear Mountain Lacrosse and Katie Erb continues to be highly successful as we have moved into scrimmaging other lacrosse teams. They are split into boys and girls groups and go Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays at the J.I. O'Neill Turf Fields and also at the Highland Falls Intermediate School. We're also coordinating with Thayer Leadership Group to do a community cleanup day at Mindock Park on June 3rd. They will supply the manpower to do the work. This is an effort on their part to be more active and recognizable and positive light in the community. And that's always great to give us a hand to help clean our areas up. They get dirty quite quick from all the visitors on the outside. They're also putting together a leadership course and scavenger hunt for our summer rec kids. Date and time to be determined. We're also working with EMS leadership to host our annual volunteer recruitment fair in June. Obviously, the goal is to shed more light on the needs of volunteering in the local fire departments and ambulance corps to recruit new members, which is highly encouraged. The Army West Point Youth Basketball Clinic will take place in July once cadet athletes come back from summer training, or for summer training. The team will also be participating in a field day event at the park with summer rec kids. That concludes happenings in the rec department. Any other information, you can contact Aaron Falk and at our rec department during the week. The ambulance corps has been quite busy as well. They've been covering most of their calls, which has been great improvement on their part, and it's really great to see that succeed and getting much better in their coverage. They also did some mass casualty incident training on Saturday. They had a good turnout, and it's good stuff to learn. Unfortunately, that you have to learn how to do that is sad, but we want to be prepared if worst-case scenarios happen. They also covered a Sunday bike race at Silvermine, and many thanks to the ambulance corps for supporting them and making sure that everybody was taken care of if in need. I think we've mentioned before, the ambulance corps is in the need of a new ambulance eventually, and they're quite expensive these days, and a long time to order one. It takes about a year and a half to get one. So we're trying to get the wheels in motion for that to obtain one. We've also looked at some grants for new ambulance, but we're told that capital monies would be coming in once the budgets are passed. And lastly, most importantly, is just be careful on the roads, as we have been responding to a lot of motor vehicle accidents lately. Everybody's out and about, enjoying the beautiful weather, and but there's always a lot of distractions out there as well. So just slow it down and just be more careful. And one spring tip for any folks out there gardening. Any of your flowering shrubs that you have out there that are spring flowering, once they finish flowering, you can prune them back. And but if you wait too long, you'll cut off the flowers for next year. So if you want to cut your spring flowering shrubs back, like your forsythia, your rhododendrons, azaleas, and so forth, wait till they're done flowering, and then prune them right away to where you need them to be. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Now he's just showing off. That was very good, Dean.
Little tip.
I've gotten a number of inquiries, and so has Aaron Falk, our recreation director, as to what is going on with Long Pond. We're 5 days away from opening up Long Pond. I saw on Facebook the garrison commander put out a flyer saying that Lake Frederick, Round Pond, and Long Pond will be all opened up on Memorial Day. His flyer was to U.S. Army Garrison, West Point, and community. I don't know what that means, the and community. I know when we talk about the town of Highlands, and community means West Point, Bear Mountain, Highland Falls, and Fort Montgomery. That's our and community. I don't know if he's talking about the and community. I asked Aaron to give me a recap on what he's done so far to find out about Long Pond and who's going to run it and who's not going to run it. An update on Long Pond. West Point MWR took back Long Pond operations after the summer of 2018. After 3 years, in the summer of 2021, after a meeting with Garrison Commander and then Councilman Jim Modlin, they expressed their intentions to hand operations back to the town with a long-term contract. After months of back and forth, they finally let us know that their contracting office was not able to put together a long-term contract for in time for the 2022 opening. So instead, we went to an agreement to supply lifeguarding services with a long-term contract in place for the 2023 opening. Starting in September 2022, I began reaching out to the West Point MWR to see the status of the new contract, but with not many answers. I called, emailed, and texted different people and always got the same answer, that it was being worked on in the contracting office down in Texas. These communications went on several times a month through March 2023. Early April 2023, I received an email from a Mrs. Jones from the contracting office in Texas, informing me that an RFP was issued for the operations of Long Pond, and we were asked to submit an offer if we were interested. Get that, if we were interested. I was confused because an RFP is not what we discussed with MWR, The RFP included stipulations that we could not follow, such as employees needing to be 18 years old or older, and an agreement to pay MWR a percentage of gross revenues. In fact, in the history of our operating Long Pond, these stipulations would have never have worked. After discussing with our attorney and Supervisor Livesey, we submitted an offer to Mrs. Jones that we thought would be better suited to our needs. We have yet to hear back from Mrs. Jones or West Point MWR. I have called, emailed, and texted multiple people at West Point and have not heard anything back other than officially it's still in contracting, and it will be worked out. Last week, West Point MWR posted that they're opening 3 of the lakes on Memorial Day, one being Long Pond. When I asked West Point who was opening Long Pond and not the town, the only answer I could get back was we needed to be prepared to open it in case the contract came through. Long Pond is scheduled to open in 5 days. We have processed our lifeguards and made sure that all acceptable certifications are in place with the county. Gate guards, maintenance people are finalizing their applications to be ready to start ASAP. But we don't have a contract, and as of today, I have no definite answer on where we stand. I will keep pushing until I get an answer. Sad part of this here is we have maybe a dozen or so lifeguards that got recertified at their cost. I think it's about $300, Kelly?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't even know if they have a job at this point. They spent $300 to get recertified. They don't know if they have a job. The main point I'm trying to make is the town, the recreation department, this person here speaking, we've tried all we can. We've tried the best we can. And we've gotten nowhere. And again, I don't know what they call West Point Garrison and community. I guess we're not part of West Point community. That's what it sounds like. That's what it looks like. So I'm sorry about losing Long Pond. I never lost Long Pond. They took it away. No different than they took away the recycling station. Any comments from the board?
5 years ago, when I first got on the board, you mentioned when we lost it. We're a board, so we were together on this whole thing. But at that time, it was a pretty intense meeting. I believe it was the Deputy Garrison Commander Tom Cowan, who was a civilian at that time. He had retired. He was in my brother's class, actually, at West Point. And they sat down and said, going to cost 25 grand for some permit with the Corps of Engineers, and we're not prepared to pay it, and we don't think you all can pay it, so we're going to help you out. We're going to make it so it doesn't cost you anything. And I'm going to speak frankly here. During that summer, it became clear that some of our recreation children were singled out as perhaps not behaving all that well. I think it wasn't all that accommodating for us. Last year and the year before, I thought we were going forward rather handsomely. I'm going to defer to my old friend Roxanne Dunnery. When I did Impact Aid more than once, she'd got on the phone down in Washington, D.C. and called the Times Herald Record. But 5 years ago when that happened, my inclination was to call Mike Randall and then to call Sean Patrick Maloney. And I tell you right now, I feel like calling Pat Ryan. That's how I feel about it. I think he would be a friend of ours as a West Point graduate. I think this is rotten, the way that it's going down. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second.
I got a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
So, have you had the opportunity to speak to the garrison commander directly?
Have I, no, I have not.
So Aaron is speaking to probably all the MWR folks?
Yeah.
So, my recommendation is it needs to be elevated above whoever Aaron's speaking to, whether it's you appoint one of us to do that or you do it, but somebody needs to be talking directly to the garrison commander, in my opinion.
Okay. Before we go into general business, I understand there's a group of people here that have an issue they wanted to talk about. Public comment? Yes? No?
Okay. Says later.
General comment, but we can wait.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Ralph Hefner, 5 Wayne Avenue, Stony Point, New York. I wanted to make a comment on the board meeting from May 8th, where the council voted to limit the towing list to 2 operators. I'm here with my client. I'm an attorney, D&K Towing and Recovery, William Salerno. I understand the town board has authority to do that. However, I just wanted to bring to your attention that 2 weeks earlier, my client had received a actual permit signed by your clerk giving him a license to operate. And to get that permit, he had to request the application, fill it out, submit it, met with the police chief, had his vehicles inspected, had a space that he rented out and had that inspected by the chief as well. There was a request to have, I guess a gate or something else put in, which he did at his expense. He then entered into a lease for the space after he was issued a license, okay, by the town. And, the down payment between the rent and other incidentals was $6,786, which he paid. He also had to get insurance to get the permit. So he went through all these things to get this permit. And then there was a vote 2 weeks later, for whatever reason, because it wasn't in your minutes, was to reduce the number from 3, which I believe he was number 3, to 2. So this has certainly had a substantial financial impact on him, as well as in reviewing your local law, Section 186, Section 12, subsection D, to take a license away from someone, he's entitled to a hearing. So we're hoping not to ask for a hearing. We're hoping that the board would at some point reconsider the action that it took on May 8th in light of my client doing all of this work, cooperating with the town, with the police chief, with the clerk, getting all the requirements put together to get on your list, and then to successfully obtain a license, and then for 2 weeks later, just by letter, to have it revoked. Okay, thank you.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And thanks for systematically laying that out.
Sure.
How long is that permit for?
The permit expires at the end of this year. It's my understanding that permits are good for a year. This was issued on April 21st, and the license clearly says that it's valid till 12/31 of 2023.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That's all I need to know.
Sure. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay, general business. I have a request from the Fort Montgomery Fire Department. This letter is request that the Town Highlands Board waives all water usage and fees at the Fort Montgomery Firehouse, 865 Route 9W. We generally use very little water for uses other than firefighting purposes, and would appreciate consideration in this matter. We looked into that. The town hall does not pay for water. The ambulance building does not pay for water. Of course, ambulance police department doesn't pay for water. I would, and by the way, what we're talking about is the semi-annual bill is in the neighborhood of $350.
So this bill has been going to the fire department, and they had to pay it,
Yeah.
and now they're asking us to waive it?
No, they're not asking to waive the bill. They're up to, they did pay their bill, the last bill. Doesn't matter, I think they will be. But they're not asking to waive the current bill, they're asking to waive future bills.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance, I did send out an email on it. As usual, it's long-winded, talking about the commission and the fire department and difference and all that. They're relatively new customers. They have been on for a long time. And they had the leak. Remember we talked last meeting or the meeting before about 500 gallons an hour for defective bathroom
Yeah.
appurtenance that they had. So they don't fill the trucks there, and I looked at Ion Water. I think they used it was like 1,200 gallons for a whole year, a year ago or something like that. So it's not much, and in view of other municipal buildings getting it free of charge, I don't see how we could deny them. But if they have a leak that's 500 gallons an hour for a month, that's another issue.
Keep track of that, yeah.
And they have people that can use Ion Water. They got a couple of them down there.
Yeah.
So
Well, they have, what's it called, the fire chief is
for our water guy. So,
He's
yeah.
our water guy, no less, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
To waive the fees.
Second.
And that's the water usage and the administrative fees. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I know, Richie, you want to talk about Precision Roofing and their proposal.
Well, you caught me off guard because I read the email once and I forgot what I read, Bob. I know it was for an annual fee for is it 1,500 a year or
Yeah,
something
it's
like that?
1,500 to set up necessary equipment to, what's it called, to do the work, clean all debris and leaves, seal any minor obvious voids, inspect the roof and related items, provide detailed proposal of any work is recommended beyond the minor items, remove debris.
That's just for town hall, is that correct?
Just for town hall.
Just for this
yeah.
building?
So it's more or less a contract to maintain the roof, since the roof is brand new and not a year old. I wouldn't be in favor of.
Who did it in the past? How did it get done in the past?
Bob did it.
No,
I'm not lying to you. Bob did it.
yeah, it didn't get done in the past.
Interesting.
Maybe a year from now, but the roof, we just spent, what, $88,000 on it, so.
So I'll ask for a motion to notify Precision Roofing that at this time, we are not interested in their contract.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Okay, our budget officer gave us a listing of, I hate to talk about budget, but anyway, starting in September through October, every week, a budget meeting. Number one, it says discussion. Do we want to start at 6? Everybody okay with 6?
Yeah.
That's right. We're laughing too. 6, okay. I checked out all these dates, there's no court involved. On October the 9th is the Columbus Day holiday. Do we want to work on the holiday? We usually do. Yeah, just to get it done with.
Mhm.
Sergeant Major?
Well, not really, but yes. I think if
Okay.
we need to get it done, we get it done.
Okay. So as it was presented, everything is okay with this?
Yes.
Kelly, you have anything? No.
Thank you.
They have to be in by the end of August, the submittal date.
Yeah, August the 25th, the budget packages are due back to the budget officer. Okay, as you all know, we sent a letter to the owner of Highland Green Mobile Home Park, and we delivered the letter to all the residents of Highland Green Mobile Home Park. Since then, we received approximately half of what was due to us. He was very much delinquent in his bill. A year behind or more? Okay. And we're still talking about leaks. Well, since this letter was delivered, I know they fixed one major leak halfway down the hill there from the mailboxes. They're still searching for more leaks, and I got a verbal promise that he would pay up the rest of his debt by 2 weeks, and we're 2 weeks almost up, by the end of this week. Kelly, the what's it called, the interest charged was around $12,000.
Yes, the penalty.
For whatever reason, he expects that to be waived. And when we had the meeting with him up in the town garage, on the way out the door, he says, what are you gonna do about the $12,000 penalty? I'll see what I can do, and that's what I'm doing right now, but I don't believe we should waive the fee.
I don't either.
No way. Took them a year.
Here's the deal with that. Their meter might be reading and we get money for that, that's great. But we have businesses that are looking to build down there. We have an agreement with the Village of Highland Falls, and I'm glad to see Trustee Ramus here, that limits us at 150,000 gallons a day. So the leaks are hurting everybody, whether he pays for the water leaked or not. Oh, that can't be.
Okay. Our letter, and Justin, you help me out here now. Our letter says that we're going to turn this water off 10 days after this letter was sent. Actually, that's today. Can we extend that?
Certainly, if they have started to show cooperation and are working with you to address your concerns, certainly.
He's not in full compliance, but he is.
No, I understand, but
Some effort to be
addressing the significant leak is certainly a step in the right direction. And obviously, not that you want to resort to re-levying, right? I mean, you always do ultimately get your funds because you're able to re-levy should he fail to pay in a timely manner. So I think since they're showing cooperation, it's prudent to work with them and address those other leaks.
Hey, I believe you did this letter? Did you?
I believe your controller did the letter, and I certainly reviewed it before it went out.
Then we should follow up with another letter and explaining to him that.
Yeah, the current status to keep pressure on, but that, so that the residents are not worried that their water will be dried up.
Well, for the residents that may be listening, we're not turning it off.
Not yet.
There you go, not yet at this point in time, since he's complying, or began to comply with our request. Kelly, would you see that another letter? And we don't have to deliver those letters, we can somehow. Well, we don't even have to mail them. I mean, we got to mail it to him, yes. But the residents, I think after tonight's meeting, they'll get the word. I hope. Unless you think we should hand deliver them all again. What do you think, Justin?
I think you may have some residents who are concerned, and so it's probably appropriate to give them an update.
Okay, Kelly?
And what were we saying about the fee? We're not waiving the fee, right?
No.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make a motion to waive the fee? Not the fee, the penalty?
No.
Being there's no motion, there is no waiving. And finally, the no snow plowing agreement.
Right, yeah, no, I got confused by the other request from the Fort Montgomery Fire Department, so I had prepared a resolution. You have that. It was sent,
Friday?
not having, Friday, Thursday or Friday. Not having direct interface with the fire department, I think I addressed their concern in the resolution, but certainly if you have reviewed it and want to pass it, and if they need something slightly modified, we can work at it again. But this basically indicates that you're continuing to plow their facility at their request, based on, in essence, municipal cooperation. It's not for any private benefit to the fire department, and they're to continue to insure the property and indemnify you for that work.
Yeah, I think this was picked up by our insurance company. Kelly, am I right on that? Who suggested that we do this?
I think it was when they came to work for
Right,
CLG,
yeah.
for Rikers.
So we have a resolution to authorize an agreement between the town of Highlands and the Fort Montgomery Fire District for snow plowing. Do I have a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
roll call, please?
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeager,
Aye.
Supervisor Leeson.
Aye. Town board, anything?
I think we probably have some public comment coming, but, yeah.
Okay, we're at the point now, public comment. Oh, Chief, I forgot about you. You have anything for us?
Nothing this week.
Okay, is there any public comment before we close?
I had a question for Chief real quick. Is there, it came to me somehow about the issue with defibrillators. Are we short, are we needing them, or what's the status on that?
Our last one, for lack of a better word, died a couple weeks ago. And I, the other day, received one on loan to us from Montgomery EMS. One of the town of Highlands employees also works for Montgomery, and they have had a couple of spares. He brought me one, and he is probably going to find the second one that we can borrow until we find funding to purchase our own.
Okay. And so typically, what's the amount that's normal on hand?
Roughly $2,000 a piece.
I mean, in terms of, do you need two of them to be green, meaning you're good to go, or you need
We should
one for every
have
vehicle?
two. Optimally, I would say 3, so we have a spare, but 2 would be
Okay,
adequate for the time being.
okay, thank you. And
We don't have one for town hall.
I was going to ask about the ambulance corps. Is that the same? Is there an issue there?
With?
Defibrillators.
Not to my knowledge, no.
A few years ago, I'm
It
sorry,
was
go ahead.
about 2 years ago, when the ambulance had their presentation from the striker representative
Yep.
for the power load, their new stretcher, their new stairs, all in a package, along with their Lucas CPR device. We had gotten a quote to purchase 5 AEDs as part of that package. 2 for the police department, 1 for recreation, 1 for the highway garage, and 1 for town hall. They would have been all joined web-based, so you could log in and check to see if the batteries had an adequate charge, if they were functioning. They would do their own self-test. And at that time, we had inquired of one of our elected officials to see if there was funding for us to purchase the 5 of them. And we had received no response from that during the past 2 years. I had just reached out to our county representative to see if they may have some funding for us to purchase 2 of them. And I'm waiting for a response.
Okay.
I was here for that meeting. Jim Modlin was here.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
think the guy's name is Bryson Carl or something like that.
Yes.
And I thought that the AEDs were part of that whole deal,
It
so.
was supposed to be part of the price quote was based upon purchasing everything. That's why it was, they were also taking our old ones in on a trade. And we had 2 and 1 that was functioning. They would have taken 3 on a trade. code has probably since expired.
Jim,
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, council members. If I could, I know we're always supposed to address the board, but I have something about the upcoming fishing derby
Oh.
for all the residents. And it's a big flashcard, so I know a lot of people watch this. So the fishing derby is going to be on June 10th. It's open to all children, all the way up to 15, or through 15, I should say. It'll be at Roe Park, rain or shine, the fish don't mind. We're going to have probably some donuts and stuff for the kids first thing. First 50 kids that show up, we got goodie bags for them and some bait. And at the end, hot dogs for the kids, chips, water, and then prizes. So, thanks so
That's
much.
great.
If anybody wants to help, come on
What
down.
time does it start?
Registration's at 8, and the contest will be from 9 to 11. But if anybody would like to come on and help, we can always use fish rangers. Thanks so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Next.
Anyone else have any public comment before we close?
Well, I got a quick question, and it pertains to the gentleman that came in about the vehicle, the towing company.
Yes, sir.
What my curiosity is, so you just presented some stuff to us. Are we required to respond, or not necessarily tonight, but I'm just saying, because I'm sure they.
Well, certainly they would like a response from you, but certainly you just
Reason I
took
asked that
in the
question-
information and need to
The reason
have
I
a
asked that question
discussion.
because I was thinking that normally we might say, well, next board or two boards meetings will come back and address it. So I was just curious if we're going to do that at all, or we're just not going. We're sticking with ours. We're sticking with our same
Well,
decision.
the response does not need to be in an open meeting. I'm sure he can provide contact information for us and,
So we'll be in touch.
correct.
Okay.
I'm working under this understanding that you'll need to speak amongst yourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
council, And make a decision.
I just didn't want you to walk out here thinking that we just listened to you and then we're not going to do anything.
I'm the former,
See, that's the first smile I've seen tonight. So now I feel good.
I work with the town of Stony Point so I understand the process.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
for asking.
No problem. Thank you.
Again, we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.